Welcome everyone, this is Silver casting another Heart of the Swarm game. Now, this cast is going to be a little bit different because it is a game of my own. And the reason I'm casting this game because I'm showcasing a build opener for the Protoss against a Terran that allows the Protoss to apply early pressure while expanding on the back of it. So, now this is against a Masters player, Clan EX Sonic Boom is the Terran, and I'm representing the Protoss. And so I'm only in Diamond. I'm at the highest of my diamond. I'm at the top of my Diamond League, but still, I'm a little going into this match. I was a little kind of on edge because going against a Masters player is always a little like harrowing because they're Masters. They got that nice shiny border around their name, and being a lower league is always kind of I always kind of feel the pressure going into these matchups. Now, the reason I really like this opener, and it's pretty much I open with it every single game versus Terran, is because Terrans have been opting for a early expansion in pretty much every matchup versus a Protoss. Now, as you can see, my scout has just gotten over here, and I believe I do some harassment with it. So, start harassing the SV, although he does give chase. Now, this is what I want, because by using my scouting probe and doing a little bit of harassment, I cause the STV to start chase it, which makes him lose mining time. And so I'm also trying to get the reactor. Unfortunately, he does get a good surround with his STVs, and I do lose my scout. Now that's not a good opener start to this build, but I did scout the refinery, which is what I was going for. So I do know that there's probably Reapers on the way, given the reactor timing. Now, I put the build order in the description of this video below, so basically, it involves getting out 2 stalkers and a mothership core, essentially as soon as you can, and applying early pressure with that while expanding on the back of it. So my gateway has finished, and I do delay gas a little bit. I get gas at 17 and 18. Well, in this, because my probe died, I get them at 16 and 17. And then I saturate them right away, because I'm going to need at least 150 gas by the time my cybernetics core is finished. So the two simulators have finished. I put probes in them, so I'm getting that saturation done quite quickly. And since I did scout the refinery, as you can see, there is a Reaper being built by the Terran, by Sonic Boom. So with this build, you can easily deal with the Reapers because I'm gonna have a stalker quite quickly because I save my chrono boost in order to chrono out 2 stalkers as soon as I can. Now this is pretty important for this build because you want your 2 stalkers at his front door as basically ASAP. And since my core is finished, I've started my stalker, I've started my mothership core, and my second stalker is already queued up. And after this, I will be expanding. As you can see, I put my next pylon at my natural. Now the Reaper does get here. I don't believe he gets any kills. He might kill this one poor probe. I believe he does. Nope, he decides to pull back. How about the probe goes down. And my mothership core and stalker will be able to defeat this Reaper without it doing too much damage. And so yeah, that's pretty much. So this Reaper is getting the scouting information. He does see that there is 2 units on the way, so he does know that there's possibly an attack coming. And as soon as my second stalker's out, I start rallying them over to his opponent's base. Now this is a bit of a little micro-intensive during my attack because I'm expanding on the back of it. You see I can just drop my expansion. And I'm also going to be teching and upgrading. And so basically after my 2 stalkers are done, I spend my next 50 gas on a warp gate research. And I believe I do crank out another unit here. So with these 3 units here, the stalkers and the mothership core, these are basically my attack force squad. These 2 stalkers are able to take out a lot of marines without taking a lot of damage. And the mothership core provides high ground advantage for the ramp of my opponent's base. So they're going to be moving in here, and we'll see if I can get some damage done with these attack. The stalkers are at the ramp. There's only a handful of marines, however, with some proper micro, these stalkers can easily kill this many marines. So as you can see, the micro that one back, the damaged one, the mothership core gets here to provide additional DPS. I managed to take out 2 stalkers, so I need to do a little more damage with this attack in order to enable it to happen. You can see he does have a Widowmine here, but it's out of position, so I move my mothership core away from taking fire. And basically, I gotta avoid this Widow Mine at all costs because it will one-shot any of these units. So he doesn't have a bunker here, which is very unfortunate for him. And the time warp, I do decide to drop time warp to clean up the rest of these Marines. As see some proper micro, my stalkers have taken like almost no damage here. As you can see, I continue to do a lot of damage with this attack. The Mothership Core, unfortunately, is getting quite low. That was one mistake I made with this build, is getting that stalker really low. However, I haven't been taking any damage from this Widow Mine. Unfortunately, my Mothership Core does get picked off, and so I believe I decided to pull back on the attack here, because that was very unfortunate. Once my Mothership Core down, I usually pull back on the attack. And as you can see, that attack paid for itself as far as the resources lost go, but in the meantime, I've already dropped in a robotics facility. I have more gateways, a robotics bay underway, so I'm going to have Colossus tech pretty damn quickly, and my expansion is up and running. So that early pressure gives me time to get my expansion going, get all my production underway, and soon to be upgrades. And so I'm feeling in pretty good position here, even though that attack wasn't the most profitable. Now, a lot of times I can do a lot more damage with that attack. I can usually kill more Marines, I can even kill some SCVs. However, I don't believe... See, I killed 2 workers, so but I did kill more Marines. So that attack did pay for itself, but usually I like to do a little bit better. And I decided to go with the robotics bay, because getting an early observer will give me the good scouting I need. But I can also, and then I teched right into Colossus, because Colossus are probably the most cost-effective way to deal with early pushes. As you can see, they're already deciding to push. Now these stalkers are left to watch this watchtower, and I do manage to get them out in time before they get killed. And so Sonic Boom is going with a push of Marines and Widow Mines, and I do believe his army supply is... Yeah, his active forces is kind of a lot ahead, because he is a Terran, he has expanded, and so he has a lot of money to be throwing at Marines. So right now I'm going to have to do a lot to hold on to this push. Unfortunately for me, since I did tech straight into Colossus, I do have one almost built right now and a second one underway, so this attack will not be doing much with this Colossus here. And also, I did rebuild my Mothership Core, and so I'm going to have Photon Order Charge as well. So his attack does commence. However, there is a Colossus, and without medevac supporting this, I do believe I do a lot. However, the Wind Mine does get a good shot off, and I believe it does activate and kill a unit, but with the Observer here and the units, that attack isn't going to be doing a lot. So I believe that does put me ahead in the units lost tab. See, now I'm 400 resources ahead. And basically from here on out, I like to adapt my playstyle to a more reactionary playstyle while still staying ahead in the tech. Now, in the Terran vs Protoss matchup versus a Terran who's going Marines and Medevacs and Mardars maybe, the best tech options you want as Protoss is a fairly large gateway army of Zealots and Stalkers and Sentries, and you want supporting units of Colossus and then High Templars in order to do the AoE damage you need in order to come ahead on fights, because without a Colossus and without High Templars, Stim and Medevacs with Marines will pretty much destroy everything. So you really need that AoE damage in order to come ahead on this fight. So as you can see, I already was one step ahead of him by getting the robotics facility before he had Vikings, and I'm already transitioning into High Templars. I already got my Twilight Council underway. I just dropped my Templar Archives. So I'm feeling in pretty good position here, and I do position this Observer over here to provide any sight for drops. This is always a smart idea considering the medevacs have boost and you do need that early warning in order to stop the drops. I sent out a scouting probe probably at the right time. I was actually trying to see if he had a third up at this point, but that probe did give me sight of this army which is moving in, and at home I have a couple Colossus and small gateway army here to defend this. I have 3 Colossus, so that's always pretty good. My Templar Archives is almost finished, so that is going to be having High Templars out soon. Now, I see the attack commencing, and I believe I do have enough to pull this off. However, he decides to roll it up into 2 medevacs, the majority of his forces, and drop it over here. And he unloads, which is probably not the smartest idea considering it could have gone straight for my economy. But my army is in here positioned, and so I decide to focus down this drop, clean it up quickly regardless of the army at the front door, because if I can clean up this drop, then I can focus the majority of my forces on the front door. I do drop the time warp to prevent the retreat of these Marines, and fortunately he does not take, fortunately for me, he doesn't take out the Temple Archives, which I'm going to need soon for storms, and he decides to pull back here considering he doesn't have a lot of forces. Now, in all of this, even though I'm ahead in the resources, he is a Terran, and with those double mule droppage, I believe, yeah, he spent more on his army, so I'm not really too far ahead in a lot of respects. Even though I'm 2,000 resources ahead, he spent 1,000 more on his army. So after this attack, I feel confident enough to throw up a third base, which is smart timing considering the Terran is throwing up a third as well. And he already has a lot of, wow, that's a fully saturation of SCVs right there. So he has not stopped on his economy at all, considering he's going to be fully saturated on 3 bases right now with 3 orbital commands providing him with mules. So this is always tricky when facing a Terran as a Protoss, because they're going to be ahead in their economy pretty much the entire game, unless you get a base up on them, which is very hard with the drops. Now, I do have my observer in position again, and I believe I'm doing some scouting. I'm going to see if I can see this third here. And in the meantime, I have started researching Storm, and I have gotten High Templars on the field to start acquiring the energy. Now, when you're going High Templars, you're not going to have Storm right away because you do need to research it. So it's always smart to warp in around 3 to 4 Templars right away so they can build up their energy to max for any incoming fights. And also, High Templars are very effective at taking out drops. And I've also started Charge and my +2 attack, while he is only on 1-1. So thankfully for this match, I did have an upgrade advantage. And once again, this is a Masters player, so he's pretty skilled. Now, considering he fended off my first attack quite easily, I do believe he does have the skills to take it. However, he does actually do a move command right into my army, which is started to take center map control. And I believe he doesn't have any, since without any Vikings, he doesn't have enough to really take it on here. These Winter Mines do pose a threat, and I don't believe my observer is in this army at the time. Nope, I do have an observer here, it's on its way, so I do have the ability to kill these mines. And so right now I'm looking in a pretty great position to take the victory here, considering I have a great tech advantage. I have Colossus, I have High Templars, my charge is going to be complete soon. I have quite a few gateways to supplement the reinforcements. Soon I'm going to have 5, which is kind of low, I do admit. One mistake I made in this game was not building up gateways, considering I have 5 off of 3 bases. Off of 3 bases, you should have 5 gateways around off of 2 bases if you're not going into too many other tech options. And I only have 5 off of 3, so I decided to drop more gateways here. And right now I just positioned my army out here just to gain center map control to prevent any move arounds, and I'm just basically gearing up for the next attack. Even though my opponent has a large supply lead, I do have, and his army is larger in a lot of respects, I do have the tech advantage with the Colossus and High Templars. And so he sends a few Marines in here to distract me, considering the majority of forces are over here, and he's finally added Vikings to support this army. And he does do a scan. I think that was to see if there's any observer. However, with the watchtower taken, I actually do get a glimpse of see, I don't see the attack coming, but I do see these Marines moving back, so I'm like, oh, he is going for my base. And I realized this, and I decided to mass recall to my 3rd, because it is never smart to base race a Terran opponent. And this move right here probably won the match, because he's probably running in here. See the preemptive stim? He's running in here not thinking that there's any forces, but with that mass recall, my Colossus are here. I have High Templars, I throw 1 Storm, it's kind of a whiff, doesn't do much. However, my charge research has finished, so these Zealots are going to be going into the action. And this army can really only retreat at this point, considering I have 4 Colossus providing AoE fire, I have the High Templars doing additional AoE damage, and there is a decent amount of Zealots just chasing this army. And he tries to take out this proxy pylon, I believe he does, but thankfully my 3rd isn't too far away, and so Right now his forces aren't that consolidated, and I am in a good death ball position. As you can see, my Templars are kind of moving up there, just doing massive damage with the storms. They are out of position here, so I decided to warp them into Archons to prevent them being killed. And so now I have Archons to supplement this army, and with my upgrades of 2 attack, these are doing 40 splash damage a hit. Now combine that with the 40 damage from the Colossus, this army is pretty much going to melt. And that's really what you need to do against the Terrans going mech. You need a lot of AoE. You need Archons, High Templars, and Colossus here. And see, as you can see, even though I have all this tech advantage, my army has pretty much fallen significantly compared to his. Because he's Terran and he has a stim. So he does decide to attack with some SCVs here. Unfortunately for him, this Colossus just to go to town. And he tries to evac these SCVs. If he had gotten these away, he might have had a chance to defend this, but the force fields go down, and all these SCVs are just going to be incinerated by these Colossus. And at this point in the match, I pretty much won here, considering he doesn't have a lot of forces at home. I've just killed the majority of his mining. He has no economy, while I'm starting to pull a lot of minerals. So that's kind of the game here. As there's pretty much nothing left he can do. He has I think one more round of reinforcements coming, however it's not going to be enough to defend here, as calls me a retard, probably pretty raging. And then this is the funniest part about this whole match. He apologizes, I say GG, and then he says his friend typed that. I'm like, sure, and he leaves the game. So there you have it. That was it's kind of how you beat a Masters Terran in Heart of the Swarm. You have to stay ahead in the tech advantage. You really need to get your Colossus out before you have just look at these Colossus. I only built 4 Colossus this game and they're all alive, and they have around 100 kills in total, which is pretty. They have more than 100 kills. They have around 115 kills with these Colossus. Yeah, so you need to get a tech advantage early, because you need to have the AoE damage to take out the Marines, Mardars, and Venomax, and you need to stay ahead in that tech advantage. See, I had Colossus out before he had Vikings, and then I had High Templars out before he had Ghosts. And that's pretty much, and then once you're at, you can basically just use that army composition of your Gateway, Colossus, and High Templars to win the game. And fortunately for me, he made a couple mistakes with his tech choices. He should have gotten Vikings earlier. He should have probably done more well-executed drops. However, the observers weren't here to defend this. And as you can see, my early build allowed me to apply pressure in a cost-effective manner and get out of there and drop an expansion on the back of it. So that's a very solid build opener, I feel, versus Terran. And so there you have it. That is how you beat a Masters Terran player in Heart of the Swarm. And once again, my name is Silver. I hope you enjoyed this replay. It is showcasing a build order for the Protoss. So thanks for watching, and go out there and get your game on.